Hello there, folks. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another Tonight We Game video. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about a game that I've run once, long time ago, but that I have a very fond um, recollection of and a kind of a desire to revisit again someday. It is Monte Cook's Arcana Evolved. So let's do a little time traveling here. Go back into the early 2000s, and this was during the era of the 3.5 edition of D&D. Monte Cook had been part of the creation of the 3.5 edition, but then he left to form his own company called Malhavoc Press. There's the logo down here. Now, initially, Malhavoc Press was providing just additional 3.5 supplements for the D&D game, but at one point, he being Monte Cook, decided to create his own version of D&D. Only make it an alternative or a variant of 3.5. So not just taking the 3.5 rules and tweaking it. He wanted to change up the whole game to make it similar but different. And so what he did was he created a variant player's handbook. It's actually a player's handbook and DMG kind of combined. And the initial version of that was called Arcana Unearthed, which was a takeoff of Unearthed Arcana. He then released a revised edition called Arcana Evolved, and that's the one I'm going to be covering here. Now, Arcana Unearthed is not much different than Arcana Evolved, but there are some differences, and I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just going to focus on the latest version that he had released, which is Arcana Evolved. Okay, so based off of a 3.5 rule set, and if you know the 3.5 rule set, then you can play this game with minimal difficulty, because the majority of it is based off of the 3.5 rule set. Where it differs is the choices that the player characters have for creating characters. So one of the things that Monte Cook wanted to do was to create a new player's handbook, but not have the same old tropes. And so he wanted to have different races and different classes. And I'm not talking about additional races and classes, I'm talking different. So the 3.5 D&D rules had for races humans, dwarves, elves, half-elves, halflings, gnomes, the usual stuff, half-orcs, the usual array of race options, right? None of those options, with the exception of humans, are available in this game. Okay, so we have all new races except for human in this game. Same thing with the classes. As you know, in D&D 3.5, you had the fighter, the ranger, the paladin, the barbarian, the monk, the wizard, sorcerer, the thief, all those things, or the rogue. All those things were standard classes in many editions, including the current one of D&D. He wanted to replace all of the tropes, all of the normal trope classes, with all new classes. Now, are there similarities? Of course. You still have your martial classes, you still have your caster classes, and so there are some similarities, but they're not called, fighter, cleric, wizard, rogue, and they don't have those same features as they do in the player's handbook. They have unique features for this game. So let's just kind of take this a little bit at a time here. So let's talk about the races first. So races start on page 14. Let's just scoot on down to page 14. Okay, here are the races. So we have for one thing, one change is you have racial levels and you have evolved levels. So you can instead of taking a level in a class, you can take a level in a race or something to that effect. So that's a difference in this game from 3.5. So you have humans, which I remember Monte Cook saying that you have to have humans because that's what we're most familiar with. As being humans, all of us know what a human is, and so you kind of have to have that as a cornerstone race for really any game that you play, unless you're playing something that's really out there. Okay, so humans are an available race. Then you have the Draka. The Draka are draconic warriors created by magic via dragons. The Draka are a sort of chimera, the result of magical mixing of humanoid and dragon traits. They are found in the company of dragons or in small groups performing a service for dragons. Only the rare Draka associates with creatures of other races. Okay, so this could be analogous to a dragonborn creature, but not quite. They're a little bit different. Okay, so the Draka, and here's a picture of one. You see they got wings. I don't know if they start off with wings or if they grow them later on. So let's see, lots of Draka options there. Let's go on to the next one, the Fane or the Fiend. Fayin is the pronunciation. Fayin is a catch-all term for 3 different kinds of diminutive people. In many ways, it's useful to discuss the 3 of them together, for they have a great many similarities and some marked differences. The 3 types of Fayin are the spellcasting lore songs, the nimble quicklings, and the winged sprites. Characters cannot start the campaign as first-level sprites, only as lore songs or quicklings. See the metamorphosis sections later in the century. Okay, so you got 3 different types of Fayin that you can choose from. One of them is a winged, tiny creature. All right. Then you've got the giant. Giants call themselves the Hu-Charad, which means the stewards, but everyone else just calls them giants for good reason. Giants are massive creatures standing up to 12 feet tall. Except for their size, they look normally proportioned to humans. To them, humans appear like children. In fact, young giants are indeed the size of human adults. 300 years ago, tales say, a dying giant, a prince, crawled into a fabulous giant city in a far land far across the sea. Only one word passed his lips before he expired: West. No one knew what killed him or what he meant for sure, but the only thing that lay west was the boundless sea. Following this omen, however, many giants climbed aboard ships of great size and sailed across the sea to discover the land of humans and the Dromoj who had enslaved them. As is the nature of the giants, discovery of a new land invoked in them a powerful sense of responsibility. These giants, in the mindset of what they call the Chi-Julud, conquered the land and its people so they could oversee and protect it. They built wondrous cities and the diamond throne from which they would rule. Again, as is their way, the giants used rituals to change their own nature from warlike to the just wardens of their new territory. Some people grew to love the giants and the boons that they brought the otherwise dangerous and unruly land, but others did not. So you can play a giant. Now, of course, you start off as a normal-sized giant, normal being medium-sized, and then as you evolve, you get to be a giant. So you start first level at as a character 7 feet tall, which is still medium sized, and then you can achieve your full height, which can reach 10 to 12 feet. Okay, so you can play a giant in this game. Then you have the Litorians. Litorians are bestial, honor-bound hunters, usually found roaming open grasslands far from civilization. Litorians only rarely separate from their tribes. Unlike members of other races, only the unique individual Litorian interacts with other species. So Litorians are basically Thundercats, right? and they are modeled off of the various cat-like, creatures that are out there. So you got your lion-like, and you got your panther-like, and stuff like that. So Latorians are Thundercats, basically. All right, then you have the Moj. The results of magical modifications, Moj, appear to be as much dragons as the humans they once were. They pattern themselves after the creatures known as the Dremoj, or dragon scions, which held mastery over the realms long ago. In the lands now ruled by the Diamond Throne, the Dremoj once enslaved humanity, and the Fane, having conquered them with magical might and brute force. These ancient winged fiends, whom some say were equal parts demon and dragon, fielded vast armies of powerful spellcasting warriors. Only the power of the giantish armies of old in full Chi-Julud mode could overcome them, and they did. The giants hunted the despicable Dremoj to extinction. But the Moj still remain. Okay, so you got the Moj, and they look like, again, kind of lizardy, kind of dragony creatures. So you have two dragon type of characters to choose from in this game. All right, Rune Children. Rune Children are chosen, almost Messiah-like figures. Only some see themselves that way, however. Others view the gift of the rune as a responsibility or even a burden. Because Rune Children can be members of any race, it is difficult to pin down too many defining characteristics. They normally feel obligated to help those in need when they come from them, championing the oppressed and the downtrodden. They never exploit their powers for their own gain. They do not take advantage of others, nor treat others with cruelty or dispassion, and never inflict pain or death unless required to do so. They preserve rather than destroy. They save life rather than take it. All right, so a rune child can be any other character. And it looks like they get a little rune on their body somewhere. And they have powers to go along with it. So that's the rune child. Then we have the Sibikai. The Sibikai look like they look like jackals, kind of. So strong and hardy Sibikai are excellent warriors and fierce opponents. The Sibikai were once simple beasts, native to a hot, dry desert realm far across the sea. The giants used magic to uplift these beasts, granting them the intellect and body shape to make and use tools and eventually develop a society and culture of their own. The Sibikai felt indebted to their patrons and served them as soldiers and helpers for centuries. Although the giants no longer require their help, the Sibikai remain an indebted client people. All right. So, Sibikai. Then we have the Varric. Varric are incredibly wise and intelligent beings with special innate mental abilities. At first bluish, Varric appear human. The only physical difference is that Varric have wine red skin and either white or blue-black hair. Varric are not human, however. They neither think nor feel as humans do. In fact, members of the two races often have difficulty relating to one another. Varric pride themselves on contextual thinking. They believe that they see the world from a larger perspective, which leads them to make decisions based on ramifications that others may not see. They value intelligence and wisdom and despise rash actions. All Varric possess innate mental abilities and allow them rudimentary telepathy and telekinesis. Some Varric can learn more powerful psionic abilities. So, a psionic race. And then we have... Oh, is that it? Yep, that's it. Okay. All right, then we have the classes. Now, these are the variant classes. Again, no fighters or rogues or clerics in this game. Instead, you have the Akashic, the Champion, the Green Bond, the Mage Blade, the Magister, the Oath Sworn, the Ritual Warrior, the Rune Thane, and the Totem Warrior. an unfettered, a warmane, and a witch. So let's read through these descriptions here. Akashic, masters of memory, these expert, skill-focused characters can draw upon the collective knowledge of all beings to gain information, improve their skills, and perform tasks for which they were never actually trained. The champion, seizing upon a cause they feel called to defend, champions are driven warriors who do whatever they must to further or defend their cause. The Green Bond, masters of animism, green bonds are spellcasters who can call upon the power of life itself. As such, they have an affinity for nature and nature spirits. The Mage Blade, while some follow the path of the sword, others the way of the staff and spell, the Mage Blade walks the thin line between. Mage Blades not only dabble in spellcasting, but use rituals to enhance their weapons, which they wield with skill. The Magister, consummate spellcasters, magisters focus their powers through their magical staves. No one has mastery over more spells than the Magister. The Oathsworn, these warriors are fidelity and devotion given life. When an Oathsworn commits to a goal, this dedication grants the character unbelievable power to accomplish it. The Ritual Warrior, viewing combat as an art or almost religious ceremony, ritual warriors access unusual abilities through their supreme concentration and clarity of mind. As they fight, move, and take part in any activity, their every action is a carefully honed ritual. The Runethane. Although Runethanes cast spells, their real focus lies in the study and creation of magical runes. Their runes store magical effects, create potent wards, and grant powerful abilities to items and people. The Totem Warrior, often more at home in the wilderness than in a city, Totem Warriors bond with an animal spirit that grants them amazing abilities, physical qualities, and even companions. Unfettered, wild yet skillful, unfettered characters are masters of daring do and a blur of precision in combat. Their trusted allies are speed and prowess rather than heavy armor and brute force. The Warmane and the Unfettered's equal but opposite force, Warmanes gird themselves in the heaviest armor and wield massive weapons with a combination of strength and skill. Their might knows no bounds. And then finally, the Witch. As casters who focus on the magical nature within themselves as well as spells, witches possess power that manifests itself in varied ways, making every individual unique and mysterious. Okay, so those are the classes and the races that you can choose from. As you can see, that they're totally different than what's available in the player's handbook, which I think makes the game interesting and sets it apart from D&D. Another difference in this game is the spell list that the casters have. And let's get down to the magic section here. Now, the magic section actually, the magic system actually is a little bit different in this game as well. But what I wanted to point out in the spell list is that the spells are also completely different than what you have in the player's handbook. Instead of fireball and magic missile and the usual spell tropes, you actually have totally different spell lists. If I can find them, here we go. Okay, so you have your different spell lists for the different spell casting classes. You got 0 level spells, and each level of spell is broken into the simple, the complex, and the exotic. So simple spells are easier to cast, complex spells are more difficult, and exotic spells even more so. So each level of spell is broken up in that way. So as you can see here, let's take a first level spell for an example. You're not seeing magic missile in here anywhere. There is no magic missile. There are some similarities with some usual D&D tropes. So, for example, there is magic armor instead of mage armor, magic weapon. But for the most part, you're not going to find the tropes. Now, there is a supplement that they produce later on that takes the D&D spells and converts them to Arcana Evolved. That's another totally separate book that you have to get. But the core rule book here has all new spells for the game, making it different, making it interesting by setting it apart from Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so those are some of the differences of the game. There are many others, and if I went through all of them, this video would be hours long. But basically, I just wanted to touch on the highlights of Arcana Evolved. There are some other pretty significant differences. I'm trying to go from memory here. It's been a while, but there are combat rights in the game. Let's see what else. Like I said, there's racial levels and evolved levels. Let's see, there's still feats in the game, so they still have that. But anyway, again, if you know, or they have hero points. Okay, so if you know 3.5, you're going to know this game, the basics of this game. But again, the devil's in the details, and there's enough differences in this game to set it totally apart from D&D, while retaining the same feel as D&D. Now, let's talk a little bit about the campaign setting. The campaign setting is called the Diamond Throne. And I believe this book does go into it somewhat. Maybe not. Magic, combat rights. Yeah, here we go. The Diamond Throne Gazetteer talks about the world, the people. Okay, so basically, this campaign setting was once ruled by dragons and also a dragon demon hybrid called the Dremoj. And the Dremoj enslaved all the other races. Okay, and this was on the continent that is separate from where the giants came from. Now, at some point, the giants learned of this continent, like I read earlier, and they came with a force to challenge the dragons and the Dremoj. And by doing so, they wiped out the Dremoj. Now, I actually think dragons, if I'm remembering correctly, I think the Dremoj actually got rid of the dragons first, and then conquered all the races, and then the giants came and conquered the Dremoj. So I think dragons have been gone for a while, if I remember correctly. So there are no dragons in the game. The Dremoj have been exterminated, and now the giants have taken over the world and rule with an iron fist, but a just iron fist. They are an honorable, the giants are an honorable, just people. And so that's how they rule. But humans being humans, they don't like being ruled by anybody, particularly these towering giants. And so, there's conflict there. Not to mention all the other races that don't like being subjugated either. So, at any rate, the Diamond Throne is the giant empire that this campaign setting is based in. So you can take this pretty much anywhere you want. You can make it a game about people rising up against the giants. You can make it a game about the Dremoj or the dragons coming back. You can make it about, like any other D&D game, just adventuring, finding ancient lands or ancient ruins and stuff like that. This is like D&D. You can make it anything that you want to make it, but there's a lot of built-in there's a lot of built-in stuff in this game to help you come up with adventure ideas, campaign ideas, and make it as big or small as you want to make it. So I was just seeing if there was a map of the world. I want to say that there is, but just kind of scanning through here. Oh, well, maybe I should use the maybe I should use the thing over here on the right. Okay. Oh, well, there it is. Here's the world. Diamond Throne. Okay, so here's the Diamond Throne. Here's the continent. And it goes all the way down here. And the giants came from the east, I think. So the giants came from over here somewhere. So there's more to this world than what is actually depicted on the map that you can also explore. But they do give you the map of the campaign setting. Okay. So that is the Monte Cook's Arcana Evolved. Again, just a very high level overview of the game. It runs like 3.5, so if you know 3.5, then you can run this game. But it offers all new variant classes and variant races that you can use just to, if you're tired of the same old D&D stuff, campaign after campaign, this is a very fresh take on it. Now, this is based on 3.5. So if you are not familiar with 3.5 or you came into the D&D scene with 4th edition or 5th edition, then, you can find this on Drive-Thru RPG, but getting into this rule set might be challenging for folks because 3.5 is more complicated than 5th edition. However, Monte Cook Games, the current game company that Monte Cook has put out a version of Arcana Evolved that is based on the Cypher system. So if you are a fan of the Cypher system and you want to try out the Diamond Throne game, then you can go to Monte Cook Games and order the books from there. I believe you get 2 books. I think you get the core rule book and then you get a campaign book or something like that. I have not purchased it, so I don't have that. I do have all of the old Arcana Evolved books, and one of these days I would love to run this just to change things up. But my gaming calendar is full for many years out, so we'll see. We'll see if we ever get to this. But I did want to make a video because this is a very cool game, and if you've never heard of it, go do some research, go find it on Drive-Thru RPG, and check it out. I think it's worth it. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.